President Trump, meanwhile, reacting to the new criminal investigation into former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey for possible wrongdoing related to the Trump-Russia probe.
But I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell. And maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people. So whatever happens, happens.
Our next guest says the CIA report makes it clear President Trump was framed and they knew it all along. Joining us now is Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. Greg, good to have you here.
Good to be with you.
Good to see you. Does this make it clear that President Trump was framed?
Yeah, and I think Americans already knew that. I wrote 2 books on the subject. The Mueller report came out and confirmed what I wrote. That so much was based on a phony document known as the dossier, paid for by Hillary Clinton and Democrats, and then commandeered by those 2 guys, John Brennan and James Comey. And they manipulated the system, the document itself. They abused their power. Comey launched a case against Trump in violation of the FBI regulations. He deceived the FISA court with the dossier to gain a spy warrant. And, John Brennan took that dossier knowing that it was garbage, and he insisted that it be put in the intelligence community assessment. And even though he knew it was such a phony document, I thought, if I put it in the intel assessment, it'll elevate the credibility we can drive Trump from office. He told Congress in his testimony, oh, no, that wasn't in the assessment. Well, it was. So did he lie? Can he be charged? Arguably, yes, he can.
Interesting. Brennan is responding now to the FBI investigation. He says, Greg, Democratic principles are being eroded. This is on MSNBC yesterday.
This whole thing about the CIA note and this possible referral of me and criminal investigation, I think is just symptomatic of a much broader disease that we are confronting right now in terms of how our democratic principles are being eroded and corroded as a result of this authoritarian march that we are witnessing every day.
Reaction to that?
Well, it's classic projection. Accuse your opponents of doing what you did, right? I mean, they eroded confidence and trust in the American government, particularly the FBI and the CIA and other agencies. Single-handedly, they set back America considerably.
I was asking you during the commercial break that now very well-known James Comey post, the cool shell formation on my beach walk, he wrote and posted to his Instagram account, 8647. Why?
This is a guy who needs daily therapy. He is so obsessed with his hatred of Trump. He loathes the man. He despises his policies. It's what drove the Russia hoax. He, more than anybody else, it drove the witch hunt. And he can never quite get over the fact that he failed and he got fired. And he hates that as well. On his way out the door, by the way, he purloined FBI documents and leaked them to the media with the plan that this will trigger the special counsel and drive Trump from office. And in fact, it did drive, and Bob Mueller was appointed, his longtime mentor and friend. But in the end, his scheme failed.
Just remarkable look back. Meantime, for the very first time, Greg, since 1963, the CIA is now admitting that it monitored JFK's assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, prior to the shooting. So how big of a deal are these new documents, Greg?
Yeah, I don't think it changes the final conclusion of the Warren Commission report that Oswald was a lone gunman. What it does show is that the CIA was worried that they might get the blame. We've always sort of known they kept an eye on Oswald. Of course they did. He defected to the Soviet Union, lived there 3 years, married a Russian woman, came back to the United States. He was a Castro sympathizer. 6 weeks before the assassination, he made contact with the Soviet embassy in Mexico. So, of course, they interacted with him. They were monitoring him. why lie about it for 62 years? And I think the only answer, Occam's razor, the logical answer, is that they were afraid they'd get blamed for failing to stop the assassination of JFK.
Wow. That is an incredible development, one we will keep watching. Gregg, it was really good to see you.
Good to see you, Sandra.
All right.
Here now with reaction to the breaking news. Former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker and Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. Friends, let's review for the audience something they already know. These two figures, Jim Comey, former FBI director, and John Brennan, former CIA director, they had very prominent positions in the federal government. The security clearance has the access to sensitive information that goes along with it. Nicole, as a former FBI agent, tell us how the rank and file view people like Comey and Brennan and the shenanigans, the outright lies and crimes that they have committed.
Well, first of all, I just have to say I am a native Texan, and my heart goes out to all that have been negatively impacted by this awful tragedy. And God bless all of the first responders. We are so grateful, and I just have to say God bless Texas. To your question, the rank and file at the FBI, those that are really doing the real work at the FBI, they're absolutely disgusted by actions of Jim Comey. What he stands for is exactly opposite of what you are trained to do when you are an FBI special agent and an employee of the FBI. And the number one response that I've received from those across the board, current and former FBI employees, is, quote, "It's about time." This is something that FBI employees have wanted to see for a very long time because we believe in accountability. We are all about enforcing laws ourselves. And when you have leadership at the top who does not even obey the rules, obey the procedures and policies and the laws, that is unacceptable. And I do believe that Jim Comey is the individual who single-handedly started the destruction of the FBI, and the FBI has never recovered from his failures.
Yeah, Gregg, I mean, you and I were on TV constantly about this ridiculous Russian hoax. I was in the Trump White House. The amount of time that the networks and the two other cable stations spent on something that never existed, that was fomented by Comey and pushed by Brennan, to say nothing of that ridiculous Trump Tower meeting on January 6th, 2017, where Brennan was there too, but Comey ended up saying to President-elect Trump, hey, we don't know what this is all about, but there's some kind of golden shower, Russian asset thing. Don't worry about it. And of course, we needed to worry about it. So why don't you bring us down a trip down memory lane and how we got to this point? Do you think these guys will be charged with crimes?
I think there's a very good chance. You know, I wrote 2 books about it. And in the second book, I'm gratified to see that this new information from the CIA corroborates just about everything I wrote about John Brennan, that he knew that the dossier was garbage, and yet he insisted on inserting it in the esteemed intelligence community assessment to give the dossier credibility so that he could use it as a cudgel to bludgeon Donald Trump politically. What I think is really new is that these career CIA officials have come forward and they've blown the whistle on John Brennan. Not just that he knew the dossier was junk, but literally the deputy director in writing told him, you can't use this for the ICA. It'll ruin the credibility of the intelligence community. Brennan didn't care. And, you know, these CIA officials describe how he strong-armed everybody into putting the dossier into that ICA. He sidelined people who said no. He silenced them. He excluded 13 intel agencies from contributing to it because they also objected. So I think what they're looking at here with respect to Brennan is perjury, false statements, maybe conspiracy along with Comey.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, Gregg, let me just stay with you for a moment. Legally speaking, where do we go from now? So if they're under investigation, obviously they would need to be charged. Somebody will go in and maybe do an interview with them. Possible indictments? I mean, is it enough? The list I read, who can argue at this? Lying to Congress, abusing their security clearance, abusing the FISA process?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to go to a grand jury in Washington, D.C. and get an indictment and then, of course, bring the prosecution. In D.C., bringing a case against a Democrat and a liberal is almost a fool's errand. As for James Comey, I think they're looking at defrauding the government, a conspiracy, and deprivation of rights under color of law. That is, knowingly using fabricated false evidence to support a case against Donald Trump. The statute of limitations, which is 5 years or 7 years, is actually suspended or tolled whenever incriminating evidence is deliberately withheld or fraudulently concealed. So I don't think the statute of limitations is a problem here because we're just now learning of some of the withheld, concealed evidence.
Yes, and Nicole, going back to you as an FBI agent, under Kash Patel, the FBI seems to be going in an entirely different direction. What do you hear from some of your former colleagues about the different direction we have now?
Well, first of all, going back to Jim Comey real fast, let's just remind the American viewer that he was very famous for always saying, no one is above the law. And you know what, Jim Comey? You're right. No one is above the law, including yourself. And I can tell you that there is a spike in morale at the FBI. Kellyanne, I walked away from the agency because it turned into something I no longer even recognized. And I can tell you that I started first noticing the politicization of the FBI with Jim Comey on July 5th of 2016, about 9 years ago, actually, where he came out and said no reasonable prosecutor would charge Hillary Clinton. And under the new leadership of FBI Director Kash Patel, that's not how the FBI works anymore. Kash Patel looks at the evidence and they say, you know what? Is there something here or is there not? It's not based on politics. It's based on facts. It is based on evidence. But I can tell you, FBI agents, what they want to do is get back to enforcing the law. They want to be out of politics. But that most of all, they want accountability and consequences for those that are breaking the law. And that is what FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino are all about, and Attorney General Pam Bondi. And so I can tell you that the morale has increased greatly. They've got a lot on their plate. They have walked into an absolute disaster zone, but there are good, amazing FBI special agents and staff at the FBI who have always done incredible work, and they deserve accolades. They have quietly worked behind the scenes while all of this nonsense was going on, and they have worked hard and they have worked diligently. And what they want more than anything is those that have politicized the agency to be held accountable.
No, it's so true, because Comey in his book and Brennan on TV constantly, they lied in both places, but lying under oath to Congress and abusing the FISA process and your security clearance, these are potentially criminal indictments that we can see coming. We're going to keep a close eye on this, and I know we'll have you back. Nicole Parker, Gregg Jarrett, thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.